What's going on, guys? Welcome to Introduction to Reselling Basics 101. So, I have this PowerPoint here for you. It's not the fanciest PowerPoint, but it will get the point across. So, if you guys are into reselling or trying to learn about the basics and trying to understand part of the business, I think this is a good introduction to it. There's a lot of things that you need to consider when you're trying to be a reseller. A lot of questions to ask and all that. It's not just, oh, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to flip it for this price and you're done. I wish it was that easy, but underneath the behind the scenes, it's a lot more things going on that a lot of people just don't consider. So the first thing is sourcing. So where are you getting your products from? Uh, One might be a thrift store, such as a Goodwill, might be a flea market. You might be doing like retail arbitrage, which means you're buying products from actual stores, such as like a Marshalls, TJ Maxx, or at the mall, or something like that. But of course, most likely you got to go straight to the clearance racks, and it's got to be super marked down. And the fourth one, a lot of people might go to the liquidators, meaning you're buying pallets from the auctions or similar sources. But when you get in this world right here, you have to be aware of liquidators roulette, which means sometimes you might be very unlucky and buy a pallet where a lot of the products are not really resellable, they're not really popular, and they're just not really moving. So you might have to take a loss on that, and that's the scary part right there when you get into the pallets world of auctioning and things like that. Of course, sometimes you might buy a pallet and it has a lot of goods that you can resell for good profit. So there's different trade-offs. There's a yin and the yang for it. So you really got to consider that. Next thing is math ain't mathin'. First thing you need to think about is price and cost of things. Like I said earlier, it would be great if it was just two components to it. You buy something for $10 and then you sell it for 25, and that's $15 profit. But that's not how it goes. You have to think about the third thing, which is the fees, such as eBay fees, Mercari fees, listing fees, shipping fees, cost of the shipping labels, cost of the mailers. There's a lot of hidden cost components out there that you might not be thinking about. So you have to, so after everything's said and done, you will realize, did you make a profit, break even, or did you take a loss on that item? Next part with the math ain't mathin' is how much you need to make to be a part-time versus a full-time reseller. Let's say, I'm just being in the average, just in the middle. Some people make more, some people make less, but the average profit might be 50 to 60%. Meaning, if you sold something for $10, you might made a profit of $5. That's just the average. So of course, you'll watch some of these YouTubers out there. They'll be like, "Oh, I bought something for $1, and then I sold it for $20 or something like that." Unfortunately, the laws of average. Sometimes you might have to buy something for $13, and then you sell it for $20. So after you average everything out in the middle, it might end up being like 50 to 60% profit. So number two is, so if you sold $100,000 in items, your take-home profit might be around $50 to $60,000 for the year, and that equals a normal job salary. So if you wanted it to be like a full-time job or whatever and make like $50,000 to $60,000 a year, you're gonna have to sell at least $100,000 in stuff. Sometimes some people might be like, oh, I can make that at the office. I'd rather sit in a cubicle Monday through Fridays and make that rather than, work around the clock and make this kind of money. So if you want to be a six-figure take-home seller, you might need to sell around 170,000 to $200,000 worth of goods for you to be a true six-figure person, meaning you're making take-home profit $100,000. So just keep that in mind. That's a lot of items to sell right there. The next thing is keeping track of your products, which means you're gonna have to keep track of it on a spreadsheet or some kind of point of sale system. This is generic right here. This is generic list, and the list usually ends up growing. Some people might have 20 things on that spreadsheet, 30 things, or even 50 things. It just grows and grows. You have to think about what brand is it, your item description, your color, your size, your quantity, price bought, your date bought or posted, price sold, date sold, fees, condition, the location that you have your products at. What bin number is it? How many days did it take for you to sell it? There's a lot of things to consider when you're building this spreadsheet or you're building your tracking system or whatever like that. So just keep that in mind. And it grows from here. This is just generic and basic right here. The next thing to consider is this is now your store. You now manage the inventory, you now manage your costs, and you now manage with customer service. Just keep that in mind since this is now your thing. The true things you need to consider is, are you organized? Are you like one of those people who keep product here and then keep product here and then next thing you know it's all over the place? Or are you able to keep it in an organized manner? Number two is, are you process oriented? Some people are really scattered brain. They follow this step and then the next time they do it, they do a different style. And then the next time they do it differently. So are you following the steps consistently in a systematic way? So you have to think about that. Amazon, if you're a warehouse at Amazon or whatever, they follow everything in a systematic manner, process by process, step by step, in order for them to be consistent and efficient. So you have to think about that before you become a reseller. Some people aren't just cut. Some people aren't cut out for this. They just can't follow the process. They don't like the process, and they're always breaking the rules on and off, and to try to beat the system. And they end up not being consistent at it, and they end up failing at it. The third thing is your communication skills. Some people think communication skills is, I know English, so I'm able to talk English or speak English or whatever like that, and that's communication skills. No, you have to think about how are you communicating? Are you taking too long to respond to emails? Are you checking it on a consistent basis? Are you not checking your messages? Are you answering questions properly? Some people, if they ask you a question, you just might respond back to no. Or whatever, or something generic. If they ask you for the size of the product, you have to respond back saying, I don't know the size, but I can check on it for you. Let me get back with you, or something like that. That's responding back to the question properly, but some people might just, respond back with no. Do you have the size? No. And then, what kind of customer service is that? You really need to think about how are you responding back to your customers. More things to consider. Can you handle inventory sitting there for weeks, months, or even years on end before it sells? I know that's hard. I know that's a hard pill to swallow. A lot of us are really optimistic about selling products and things like that. And we think, oh, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to flip it within the next week or two. And then next thing you know, it ends up sitting there for weeks or months, or it doesn't even sell. And you don't even know how to get rid of it. Another way of thinking about this is, can you handle your money tied up in inventory? Because remember, your inventory is now your money that you spent for it to be inventory on the shelves or in your bins or whatever like that. You spent money on this. Can you handle the money being tied up, sitting there, not making any money, not making any profit, not flowing for you? And also the third thing is, can you handle taking a loss of the product that isn't moving or is not a hot item? Sometimes you just sit there and you stare at that product and you be like, this thing is not an item that's moving. So can you sell it at a loss and just be done with it? Can you handle that? A lot of people would rather have it just sit there and not have cash flow moving versus just sitting there, and their pride and ego gets in the way and be like, I'd rather just let it sit there and eventually it will sell. More things to consider is, all right, some of the brands you buy are hot, okay? That's true. But the thing is, it might not be the right model or design. So if you buy a certain brand, you might not have bought the right model or the right design. So just keep that in mind. If you buy, let's say, an Apple phone and it ends up being like Model 2 or Model 3 that is really no longer relevant, or it's obsolete or whatever like that, it might be an Apple product, but it might not be a good hot seller, because it's just a ugly model, or it's an old design or whatever like that. The second thing is, when you're buying stuff, there's a difference between normal bargain and thrifting type bargain that is good for reselling. So take for instance, sometimes you go out there and bargain shop for yourself, right? And you find something that's a really good price, but it's only good for you to use. Like, you buy the product and you can use it yourself. But the thing is, if you bought this product to resell, it might not sell for the same price, or it might not move the way you want it to, so just keep that in mind. It might be good for you to use that item for yourself, but the price is not cheap enough for you to resell it, and they don't like the price that you're going to try to resell it at. So it's a good bargain, but it's not a thrifting bargain. You know what I mean? Number three, no one wants to make mistakes, but it's going to happen. So that's just part of the game. Everyone's going to make mistakes. Everyone's going to have ideas, and it's not going to flow the way they want it to. Just like anything in life, be prepared to be right and be prepared to be wrong. Okay. Sometimes the item that you think is cool, it will be a hot seller and it will sell fast. So that's a good thing right there. But the next thing is the yin and the yang. Sometimes the item that you think is cool is not a hot seller in the marketplace, and it ends up just sitting there. So you have both the same ideas, both the times you think is cool, but one of them is hot, and then one of them doesn't sell as fast, or as fast as you were hoping. So that's just part of the reselling business right there. Sometimes the item that was hot is no longer the trend, and you are now left stuck holding the inventory. That sucks. Things were flowing really good. You were selling that item left and right, and it was just moving for you. And then next thing you know, it just stops. Well, unfortunately, the trend has changed. It's no longer popular, or is not as popular as it used to be. And then now you're left holding the inventory, and somebody is going to be left holding the bag. Unfortunately, that's just how the game goes. So just be aware of that. Making it your side hustle. The only way to know if you like it or can be successful at it is by trying it out part time. I don't suggest you going all out and just jumping in full time and trying this out. Just do it part time. Just thrift shop and source out whenever you can. And hopefully you can make it a good part time hustle or side hustle, whatever like that. Okay, so now near the end of this, you always need like resources and people to learn from. So, over time, when you watch YouTube, you'll find these people that have good ideas, good things to know when being a reseller and things like that, and I think this one, Sandra, the mom boss, she was really good at her videos. A lot of ideas out there, a lot of knowledge that she can transfer onto you, so you can know the game of reselling. She's really good at her stuff. So that's somebody to learn from. The next one to learn from is Mogi Beth. She's really good. I really enjoy watching her. She's right now she's pregnant, and she might not do as many videos, because she is pregnant right now. But the thing is, the wealth of knowledge that she has, and it's just, not everybody you find on here is relatable. You're just gonna have to find people you like. But this is one of the people that I like watching. She follows things step by step. She follows the process. She's really organized, and she really has her ideas in a good process oriented manner, and that's what I like. Some of these people, they'll be on YouTube. You'll be watching them, and they'll show you what they sold, and then they'll pack it up and they'll talk to you saying, "Oh, I bought this like 300 days ago. I bought this 600 days ago, whatever like that, and then now it's finally selling. I bought it for this price, and it sold for this price." All while they're packing up their products that they sold. So they give you all this information while they are going through the process of packing and shipping things out. It's really awesome information following these types of people right here. All right, the next guy is Bo Johnson. Now, this guy, he has grown his warehouse to a pretty decent size. And the thing is, he will be trying to exit the next 1 to 2 years. He really wants to go into a different game, I think more real estate or something like that. The thing is, this is not the end game for a lot of people. They just want to grow the business and gain a lot of knowledge and experience, and then maybe in the future they make a lot of money and then they jump into something else. And this guy, that's his goal. So he doesn't want to keep on reselling because it's a stressful business. So, but this is a good guy to follow right here. This one, she can be kind of harsh and brash and straightforward, but the thing is, she has a wealth of knowledge. The nurse flipper. I enjoy watching her, but she's not one of my favorites. But I do enjoy watching her just because she has good information. This guy right here, he doesn't have a lot of knowledge, but he just rambles on while he's packing stuff up and he's taking you through the journey. So I kind of enjoy listening to his conversation for some reason. I just, but the thing is, he's ADHD Dave, and he's not for everybody. I'll tell you that much, but I do enjoy watching it for some reason. All right. So this is a couple. Here's the couple of what not to do. They're a really sweet couple, but the thing is, they're in denial about a lot of things. So here's the information about this couple. All right, this couple last year made around $100,000 to $120,000 last year, which is really impressive. But the thing is, after the cost of goods, fees, shipping, and everything else, let's say they made 70,000 total. But the thing is, if you chop that up and divide that between two people, that is only $35,000 per person. So if you really think about that, that's a little bit more than a burger flipper, or just as much as a burger flipper, or whatever like that. So they're in this kind of like in the middle thing where they need to get over that hump and make more money, but they're struggling to find the right sourcing and the right items and products to get them to that next level. So they're in the middle of should someone go and work a full-time job and to hold them up, or should they just keep on pushing and struggle through this, because making $35,000 per person is a struggle bus. You know what I mean? But the thing is, everybody has to go through their pain in order to get to the next level. You never go to the next level without some pain involved, and this couple is going through that pain right now. But over $100,000, kudos to them. They're a really sweet couple. They're just going through some growing pains right now. All right, the next one is that I bumped into is Maddie Misamo. Now, I only watched this one video. I haven't watched any other video like that, but here's the realistic part of this reselling world. It might or might not be for you, and the only way you're going to know is by trying this out. So she went balls to the wall. She quit her teaching job last year, and as you can see through the heading, it says, "I failed at being a full-time reseller," and now she has a different change of career goals and her plans for the future, and she's being real about it. A lot of people are going to be like, no, I'm going to keep on pushing, I'm going to keep on chugging along and things like that. But for her, she realized like that is not for her. So she realizes this is better as a side hustle versus full-time, because it was just too much stress for her. Too much inventory, was not moving as fast as she wanted to, and this is real life reselling right here, and she is being real about it in the 18-minute video. You know what I mean? So now she's planning to be a teacher again, and she's being real. A lot of these, resellers out there, they're not being real to you, and they just keep on pushing along, and they're being in denial. And honestly, they should just either quit or just go back to being part-time, and then they just work a full-time job and then do this as a side hustle, because this is not for everybody. You just have to be realistic about it. So at the end of this journey, I do wish everybody good luck. And overall, this is a big learning curve and process for everybody, and not everybody is, going to go through a smooth process or a smooth transition, growing and things like that. Most of us are going to go through growing pains. Most of us are going to make a lot of mistakes, but that's just part of the game right there. And I hope you guys learned, at least the basics 101. And just the things that you need to consider when trying to be a reseller.